There is one chart that is so big, so absolutely shocking, it will change how you think about the world and even change how you think about your own gender. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is around 34,000 US dollars after just witnessing the Fed meeting where the chairman Powell basically, as many people have come to agreement over the past couple of minutes, it was definitely the most dovish that he has been since this rate hiking cycle began well over a year ago, back in early 2022. And that's saying a lot. One of the main things that he said during that meeting was that, and he said this twice, and it wasn't in the notes, but he did reiterate multiple times that we're basically even on the terms of risking tightening too much and under tightening, which up until this point was not what we've been hearing. We've been hearing, gotta keep increasing rates, gotta get down to 2% over and over and over. And this is the very first time where we see him kind of backing off on that a little bit, saying, okay, we're in a place where we're gonna sit. And that leads most people to believe that we're done. There's a very, nothing's guaranteed. There's a very high likelihood though at this point that we are done raising rates. And we're going to be, where we are, a little above 5%. There's a high chance that the next time we move that rate, it will be to the downside, meaning rate cuts are next on the table. I'm not saying rate cuts next meeting, but what I'm saying is that it's more likely, in my opinion now, the next move we will see, that is not a pause, the next move we will see will start being rates being cut as opposed to having them go back up. I think that this is the very first time we see that as an actual distinct possibility as we move forward. And that's very good for crypto. It's very good for risk on assets. It's very good for price appreciation in the stock market and in crypto. And it's perfectly timed with the Bitcoin halving. But I don't even want to really talk about that much more in this video. I think what the most important thing we're seeing now is actually going to be tilted a little bit towards altcoins. So this white line right here was the last halving back in May of 2020. This here is the halving back, I'm not even sure if it's on my screen, but this is the halving back in 2016. And here we have the halving coming up in just about 5 months, towards the end of April 2024. And what we've seen as we enter kind of like the year right before the halving and going into the halving though, what we've seen every single halving so far is that as we go into the halving with Bitcoin, Bitcoin dominance actually slowly does start to go down, start to decrease. There is a little bit of a resurgence at a certain point, but then specifically towards the first year after the halving, we see Bitcoin dominance get destroyed. But basically, the reason I bring that up is we're about a half a year away from the next halving, a little less than a half a year, is that Bitcoin dominance, I believe, is topped out, if not, only a little bit more left to go. Meaning, I don't think Bitcoin dominance really has much more room to go up. I think it's very likely that one of these two scenarios is what is happening here, is that we're either topped out on Bitcoin dominance, or we just have a little bit more maybe where we could go. And then again, we're topped out. We have seen altcoins get destroyed. And as of today, as of the last couple of days, we're seeing altcoins actually start to gain in price. And a lot of people kind of forgot that altcoins can even pump really across the board, because we've seen this a million times. If you've been in the markets, Bitcoin pumps and then it finds some good footing at usually new price levels, like we're back above 30K for the first time in well over a year. And altcoins can start to catch up. For example, everyone over the last 2 days has been talking about Solana. It's up just over the past 15 days. It's up over 115%, or well over 100% in the last 2 weeks. Altcoins also, Cardano's up right now 3%. Matic, Polygon's up about 3%. Ethereum's up about 2%. These are all moves that have just really happened over the last couple of hours. Solana's been pumping for the last couple of days, but really I think that this is a big resistance level for Bitcoin, right around the 55% dominance level. And we saw Bitcoin dominance go all the way back up into the 70% range before the last halving back in 2019, going into 2020. We got up to about 70% dominance. This time, I would be shocked if Bitcoin gets above 55% dominance. I don't think it will. I think there's a good case to be made that it won't. I think that, I think it will, but I think altcoins will pump a lot before that happens. Meaning we see Bitcoin dominance draw down for a while, maybe 1-2 months, and then Bitcoin might have its last attempt at putting in a higher dominance of the entire cycle. Because if you look at past cycles, I have this going back about 7 years on the screen right here, Bitcoin dominance. This is the part of the cycle where Bitcoin has historically gone on a multi-month downtrend and altcoins have started rallying. And then usually a couple months after the halving, we do see Bitcoin start to really explode, and dominance usually soars with that. But keep in mind, just because Bitcoin starts pumping up a lot doesn't mean altcoins will get dumped on. It usually means that if Bitcoin really goes on a monster rally, like it did up to about 69K, nice, altcoin did kind of chill out a little bit. And then once Bitcoin kind of held around that, I can just show you on the chart, held around this level here, around the 50 to 60K level, where it kind of just sat for a while, this is when altcoins started doing the most. So while Bitcoin was just kind of chilling right here for months and months and months, this is when altcoins then started exploding. So Bitcoin went first, and this is not something new. Most of you already know this. Usually what happens is Bitcoin pumps first, and then altcoins start pumping, and like the top altcoins, and then after that, then the smaller altcoins. It's a pretty repetitive historical movement we've seen within the crypto space. So we've just now seen Bitcoin go on a pretty nice pump over the past couple of weeks. It's very obvious. Really starting back about 3 weeks ago, Bitcoin is pumped from about, 27,000, 26,000 up to 35,000. I still think Bitcoin absolutely has some room to go. I just think that there's a very strong case to be made that altcoins will start catching up now. I think that is a very, is that even really controversial? I feel like that's kind of obvious. So looking at this chart, we do have a bullish cross with Bitcoin that we just saw recently. More importantly, on the weekly chart for Bitcoin, we're about to have the biggest, finally, after the very first 200 week below 500 week, 50 week going below 200 week cross. I think the only cross we've ever had that bearish in Bitcoin's weekly chart history. We're inching up to try to get that bullish cross back after we had that bearish cross in January of this year. And I think, again, altcoins have a lot of room to catch up. And I think that they're going to be taking up the spotlight as we head into the beginning of November, which we just started, and also December of this year. And especially as the halving gets closer, we're only about 5 months or so out. I think altcoins have so much ground to catch up on. For example, let's take a look at some of this, right? We look at Cardano. We look at a coin like Cardano, which was its all-time high was above like $3, right around $3. Currently, Cardano is down. That's actually insane. Well, that makes me pretty bullish on my bags because there's a lot of pumping to get back to. Okay, so Cardano is down 90% from its all-time highs. Is that right? That's insane. Cardano is down 90%. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum all-time high was over 4,000. Ethereum's the number 2 cryptocurrency by market cap. It is still down 60%. Keep in mind, Ethereum's actually been doing really well compared to most other coins. Where it was down, right now it's down 60%. It was down about 82%, 81%. So, I mean, that's pretty big. We can take a look at Solana. I mean, Solana's all-time high was, I believe, right around 260 or so. Now it's only down, oh, wow. Actually, I guess it's still down 82%. It was down like 96%. That's insane. Okay, so Solana's still down a lot. Let's take a look at something like Chainlink. I believe these were its highs here. Down like 80%. Polygon, for example, was also above, right around $3 at its all-time high. Currently, it's about, again, almost 80% down. So many of these altcoins are still destroyed, whereas Bitcoin is not nearly as down as these altcoins, as you would expect. Obviously, also considering Bitcoin dominance is has increased so much over the past couple of months. But Bitcoin's still down, like about 50%. But a lot of these alts are still down 80+%. And we're not even talking about like baby alts. A lot of the baby alts, microcaps, are down like 95+%, like pretty much almost to zero. But we're talking about like the top altcoins are still down 70, 80, 85%, which is ridiculously down. So all I'm saying is that I think now we're in a position where the market has become favorable for speculating on altcoins. I think that upside moves over the next couple of weeks in altcoins is kind of showing itself obviously here. Not to mention the stock market, really strong bounce today, back above 4,200. It closed. And the DXY, I think ultimately, especially if we start, with quantitative easing or cutting rates again, or basically the trajectory that seems obvious to me that the Fed is going to go with everything. I think this chart for the DXY has a lot of room to go to the downside. I think the DXY is going to start tumbling big time, which historically would also indicate that Bitcoin is about to go on a run. So with that being said, I still think Bitcoin has plenty of pumping to do. But I think that if for a week or so sprinkled in there, we see altcoins have 10, 15, 20% weekly gains among these top altcoins, I don't think that should be surprising. I think that it's absolutely overdue. And if we look historically at Bitcoin dominance, where we are compared to how close we are to the halving previously, this is exactly the time that you would start to think, okay, Bitcoin dominance does look like it's maybe topped out and has a couple of months to start pulling back. And that doesn't mean Bitcoin price has to really drop. It can also just mean Bitcoin price stays pretty static as altcoins really start pumping, or even Bitcoin pumps a little bit, but altcoins just start pumping more and taking up more and more of the cryptocurrency market cap. I think it's very hard to make the case that Bitcoin dominance will go back to 70% this cycle. Because if we look in the past, where we are in reference to the halving, Bitcoin has historically not pumped around this time. And there is massive resistance on this chart at these levels. And as well, as time goes on, as every cycle goes on, it's only been more and more people getting interested in altcoins, which has good and bad. It has definitely some bad, a lot of bad. I think that innovation is the good parts about it. But keep in mind that innovation, unfortunately, comes with so many scams, which are not good. But with that being said, I think that altcoin plays, altcoin trades, altcoin accumulation, altcoin flips are back on the menu. And I think this becomes very lucrative for a lot of the people like watching these videos, because a lot of people that only got into Bitcoin over the past couple of years and only got into crypto in the last few years don't have that much Bitcoin. They're speculating on smaller coins. And when I say small, I still even might mean like the top 5 coins. It's not like everyone's degenerates gambling on like baby doggy coin 6,000 that's 500 or 1,000 down the list in terms of market cap. A lot of these are just people speculating on like the top 5, top 10, top 20 coins, the bluest of blue chip crypto coins. But even that, there's still so much opportunity in even the top 10 coins that, again, I think that we're going to start seeing that pay off for people who have been invested in buying the dips of a lot of these coins over the past 2 years. And take advantage of massive trading and deposit bonuses if you're interested in trading with Phemex or BITGET below. If you sign up with my link, it takes 30 seconds. You can earn free XPT. And if you sign up with Phemex below for a limited time, you can obtain up to 150,000 free USDT depending on the different prerequisites. That's up to, it's not like you're guaranteed that, but that is with Phemex below. Without any further ado,